So I mentioned I just got back from a little run up in the Rust Belt there, and I took my first trip to Akron, Ohio.
Home of LeBron James.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Akron. Shout out to all my my new friends there. They have
Shout out to the Zips.
Yeah.
Go Zips, baby.
They've got a cool little comedy scene up there. Did a show at the North Side Market, which was really fun. But I wanted to tell you guys, this is a little story from history and the history of Akron. This is Jake Rossen writing for Mental Floss, and it's also a 1965 UPI report from Robert Hoig, James R. Wargo, and David Smothers.
Hoig!
So, yeah, I love that name. Robert Hoig! Just names that never existed past 1970. So, yeah, we're going to talk about a man from Akron. Lawrence Joseph Bader was born December 2nd, 1926 in Akron. His father, Stephen, was a dentist, and Bader considered following him into the practice. And after a stint in the Navy from 1944 until 1946, he enrolled at the University of Akron, but his grades were mediocre, and he flunked out after just one semester and ended up working at a restaurant on campus. And it was there that he met Mary Lou Knapp, and the two were married on April 19th, 1952. So he's got a wife, and Lawrence is, as you're going to find out, he's built different, as the kids say.
The Frenchman. I know that dude. I know about his story. I know the Fritz.
Yeah.
I know this cat.
Oh, you know about this. Oh, hell
Fritz,
yes.
man.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Enlighten me.
Oh, my God.
Lake Erie.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, so Lawrence was an outdoorsman and a skilled archer, and he ended up actually winning a tri-state archery contest, and he always wore genuine buckskin whenever he went hunting. So he always went on hunting dressed like Davy Crockett, basically. Like, you know, a normal guy in the 40s.
I'm wearing buckskin right now.
It's so hot. My brain is overheating. The worm in my brain just died. A friend recalled him as a, quote, red-blooded, beer-drinking, all-around nice guy who could talk your ear off and loved to sit and listen. He was also a family man. And in 1957, Lawrence was 30 years old. He and Mary Lou had 3 children, with another on the way.
God damn, is he fucking inducted this motherfucker to the Rotary Club? God damn, that's a hell of a fucking introduction about this. Is he standing at a dais? Family man.
The family man.
One of the best men I know. Could talk your ear off and listen his off at the same time. Jesus Christ.
He could listen the ears. He could listen the ears onto a brass monkey.
I'm not gay, but I want to fuck him. I'm in love with him.
Roger! To support he and Mary's growing brood, Bader took a job as a door-to-door cookware salesman. He worked for a man named Fritz Zeft at Lifetime Distributors. And though Lawrence was an affable man and well-liked by clients, the earning potential of the job was limited, and he carried debts on the family's home and in the very proper West Hills neighborhood in Akron and fell behind on his taxes. It was later revealed that Bader failed to file tax returns from 1951 until 1957. So, nice guy. Not good with money. Man after my own heart. So on May 15th, 1957, Bader announced to Mary Lou that he needed to drive to Cleveland on business. And he had to see about some bad checks he had been stuck with in the course of his door-to-door cookware sales business. Which, by the way, in those days, door-to-door salesman, I am just kind of picturing a guy with a cart with a bunch of pans clanging off the sides of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though it's the 50s and I know it was probably a catalog, it's still funnier to imagine him with an actual pot on his head.
Nah, that motherfucker's dragging a fucking Foot Locker.
Yeah, you hear him coming.
Filled with fucking boilers.
Let me fry an egg in your house, man.
Yeah.
This is our colander.
Yeah. It's like thunder. If you hear Lawrence, he's 10 minutes away.
Bang, parade outside the house.
These are helping to make dinner so your husband won't get angry.
The dude with the fucking crock pots again.
So he told Mary Lou that after the business trip to Cleveland, he planned on going fishing and would be home late. A pregnant Mary Lou suggested that he might want to come directly home instead. Quote, maybe I will, and maybe I won't. Bader left. And then Bader left. Bader did drive to Cleveland. He cashed a check for $400 and paid some outstanding bills, including an installment premium on his recently boosted $40,000 life insurance policy, which is $445,000 in today's money. So almost $500,000 to be paid out in the unlikely event of his untimely demise. Bader then headed for Eddie's Boathouse, a boat rental operation on the Rocky River, which empties into Lake Erie. It was late afternoon, and the proprietor, a man named Lawrence Kotler, warned him that a massive storm was brewing and coming into Lake Erie. Bader seemed unconcerned. He paid a $15 deposit and asked for the boat to be equipped with lights, and when Coulter told him it wouldn't get dark for hours, he insisted. Kotler noticed that he was carrying a suitcase, which is weird for fishing.
Okay.
And at 4:30 p.m., Bader shoved off on the 14-foot rented motorboat, which was also equipped with oars, and began making his way along the water. A Coast Guard vessel spotted him and reiterated Kotler's warning, advising him that it wouldn't be safe when the storm hit. And this was the last time anyone interacted with the man known as Lawrence Joseph Bader. So the storm came in about 3 hours later, and the next morning, Bader's boat was found on the rocks of Perkins Beach, more than 5 miles away from the boathouse, and Bader was not on the boat.
Not LJB.
Yep, LJB, missing. One of the propellers was bent, and the hull was scratched, but there was no sign that the boat had capsized. A single oar was missing, and the life jackets were all accounted for. The Coast Guard said that the lake had been so rough that no man could have survived going overboard, and they made a thorough search of the water but discovered nothing. After 2 months, law enforcement had little choice but to effectively give up hope. Authorities listed him presumed dead, although Kotler noticed that the gas line on the boat had been disconnected. Quote, gas lines do not accidentally become disconnected, he said. So, anyway. Now, this is completely unrelated.
What?
This has nothing to do with what I just told you.
Oh, my gosh.
3 days later, a man named John Fritz Johnson walked into Ross's Steakhouse in Omaha, Nebraska. So we've got a guy named John Johnson, but for some reason he insists on everyone calling him Fritz. And he was there looking for a bartending job, and he had a drink guide stuffed under his arm. So I love the guy that's showing up for a job. Like, let's say, I worked up to build cars, and I had a car building manual. Like, I'm good for this.
You dress for the job you want, and the job you want, bring a manual.
Yes, yeah.
That's called getting the leg up. You gotta make your shift stand out when you get that resume going. You know what I mean? Dress for the job you want, and guess what? I also just got the book on what to do. Like, I'm good.
Listen, you should make me general manager of this McDonald's, because in my hand, I have the code to the ice cream machine, how to fix it.
Do you not see the 48 laws of power in my hand? I'm ready for this.
Johnson carried a suitcase and a heavy canvas bag, and he explained to his would-be employer, Mike Chioda, which I was like, the WWF referee, Mike Chioda, that he had just gotten out of the Navy after 14 years, which is it's a long goddamn time to be in the Navy.
Good stint.
Yeah, without being an officer.
Especially back then.
Yeah. I'm a 45-year-old private first class. Yes,
I refuse to go higher than ensign. It would be ostentatious for me to do so.
Yeah, I served during World War II, and nobody knows me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
A bad back had led to his discharge, and he decided to travel the country a little, and he was staying at the hotel near the bus station. He'd be a good hire, he said, and he used to attend bar at clubs while he was in the service. And he got the job and was soon holding court among the regulars. Bartender Betty Augustine said of Fritz, quote, he was fascinating, debonair, well-dressed, and not broke. It's like, what a great quote.
Ladies love that.
You know
those
how
qualities.
everybody you've ever known that's like active in the military also has a part-time job?
Yeah.
As a civilian. You know, I was just like, I'm like a first sergeant in the Army, and then like from 5 to 9 p.m., I'm assistant manager at Foot Locker. I got bills.
I get discounts on kids.
I get to just leave base and go work at
a bar. Yeah.
They mark me AWOL every night. Don't they know I'm trying to make a living?
Every night I jailbreak from a military base so I can wait tables at an Applebee's.
I'm just sweating that the MPs are going to come here and want some T-shirts.
Betty also...
At clubs, not the officers' club. That would have been a perfect cover, and nobody would have questioned.
Yeah.
No, just at
Club La Vila.
just down at Larry's Lounge bartending.
Yeah.
While also a petty officer in the Navy.
Yeah. We're stationed in Pensacola, and I go 10 bar at fucking Senor Frogs in Panama City.
Catch me at Dick's Last Resort. After I sneak off this fucking off the USS fucking Johnson.
Yeah.
7 days a week I'm sneaking on and off that ship undetected.
If you got a rope ladder, you got to use it.
Yeah, that's right.
Dirty Shirley's. Oh, he's a go-getter.
Betty added that John immediately asked her out. So this guy, boy, he works fast. When a new guy in town, man, he's working quick. When people remarked on his unusual name of John Johnson, he said that he was reared at an orphanage in Boston, and that year they found 22 babies on 22 doorsteps, and they named them all John Johnson, but gave them all different nicknames. That's like, listen, I don't know much about orphanages, but I'm gonna bet my bottom dollar that's not how.
Was he raised by a 1978 SNL sketch?
Or like a cult? You are James. You are James.
We are all Johnson.
We are James.
We are all
John
Johnson.
Johnson.
We are all John Johnson.
Good morrow to you, John Johnson.
Good morrow to you,
John Johnson.
I am he is. We are he is. We are John Johnson, and we are all together.
Where one goes, we all go with the go.
Yeah, John Jacob Jingleheimer Johnson is my name too.
That's my name too.
So they gave him all nicknames, and his was Fritz because he had a couple of different explanations for this over the years. One of them that he was named for a character in the Cats and Jammer Kids comic strip, popular in the 30s. Or sometimes he would say that the nickname was given to him because he had a short haircut that made him look like a German soldier.
Or he just didn't work.
Yeah.
He was malfunctioning constantly.
So he did insist on being called Fritz, and he used his actual name, John Johnson, infrequently. Checks were signed Fritz, simply. This is so fucking weird. He also had a curious habit of dating his checks by season, not month, day, and year. So if a bill came due in July, he would simply write summer on it. Which I didn't know you could do that.
Oh.
No one in Omaha found this unusual at all. They found Fritz to be a joy to be around, and Fritz found joy in virtually everything. He was a determined bachelor who listened only to classical music and went out on frequent dates. And this is from the UPI archives dated February 10th, 1965. Quote, Fritz bought an old hearse for his bachelor courting and equipped it with a coffee bar, a pillow bed, and an incense burner. The city licensed Fritz's bachelor hearse as a, quote, hunting vehicle.
Was he a vampire?
No, I think
What's going on with that hearse? It's my hunting vehicle. That's pretty goddamn ominous.
Plenty of room for venison, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was so suspicious.
I just think if this had happened 10 years later, he'd be a guy with like a Chevy van with like a wizard and, lightning bolts on the side. You just missed that trend by 10 years.
This dude is like a pre-politics George Santos.
Oh, yeah.
I still can't get over him being in the military actively, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays, he sells cars at Long Lewis Ford. Uncle Sam understands your boys got a grindset mindset.
I mean, if the woke agenda keeps cutting funding from the Army, this will be reality.
I know.
Yeah. Corporal Kramer, welcome to Burger King. Can I take your order? Hold on, I have to get back to the USS Abraham Lincoln. So this is also from UPI. Quote, one day Fritz took up archery just to strengthen his back muscles after an inquiry. He was immediately amazing at it. He won the Nebraska State Championship 5 weeks later.
What? Wow.
So he's like, how they used to say Kim Jong-il made like 9 holes in one the first time he ever played golf. He's that, but with archery.
Never even heard of a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
5 weeks ago.
And then just
Now
suddenly,
I'm William fucking
I was
Taylor.
gonna say. Well, as you'll see, he has a Robin Hood-like weakness in regards to archery contests.
Uh-oh.
So he also kept tropical fish, especially Siamese fighting fish, the kind that devour each other.
Of course.
I was like, okay, so he's just showing.
Good old beta fish.
Yeah.
Remember when that popped in like 05?
Oh, yeah. We had one for a minute.
05 to fucking, it was literally like 2 years. But 05 to 07, the beta fish was popping.
Yep.
They were a big deal, weren't they?
So Fritz did have ambitions beyond bartending, though. After his shift late at night, he would visit the local radio station, KBON, to use the recording equipment to practice his broadcasting skills.
What?
In 1959, he was hired by the station and became something of a local celebrity. Fritz was game for stunts. For instance, he once sat on top of a box on top of a 50-foot-tall flagpole for 15 days to raise money and awareness for polio. So this is the height of the flagpole sitting
The original
era.
David Blaine.
Yeah. This was a thing because even in the 1950s, with the advent of radio, television, shit was still really boring.
He's the most interesting man in the world.
Oh, yeah.
What's he doing? He's sitting on a pole. Oh, buddy, I need to be front row. They got a VIP section?
He might
I
get
need a table.
rained on.
He's raising money for scurvy awareness.
You don't understand. He's 15 feet off the ground. He might as well be on the fucking moon.
No, it was 15 days and 50 feet. So he was 50 feet for 15 days. That's
50 days must be on the moon.
Yeah.
Crazy. I can't even picture 50 feet in the air. That's so far.
In 1961, Fritz married a 20-year-old former fashion model and divorcee named Nancy Zimmer. Nancy had a daughter from a previous marriage, and soon they'd welcome their own son, and he would begin a prosperous career on KETV, a local television news affiliate, as the sports director. So now he's at the sports desk.
This guy's he's everywhere.
This just goes to my favorite thing ever, or my two favorite things ever, really, which is A, there used to not be anything to do.
Yeah.
And two, like everybody, when they talk about time machines, everybody's like, oh, would you go back and kill Hitler? It's like, no, I would go commit very easy crimes because people are fucking stupid. You could just say anything and they'd be like, yes, of course. Oh, you're a bartender that works on a battleship in Omaha. Yeah, that makes sense. Get back there.
The pre-1960s
Yeah.
was just this magical era in fucking American society. A time when you could just move to a house or an apartment 6 blocks from where you had a wife and 5 children.
Yeah.
And
nobody knew.
You
Nobody
might
would
as well
ask.
had fled the fucking country.
Yeah.
Nobody would
You
question
could just show up and like, I don't have any ID. I need a job and a lease.
Yeah.
My name is Williams. William the Fifth, and they're just like, right this way,
sir.
Mr. Dubs.
Oh yeah. Oh my. Mark Twain makes like a reference to this in Huckleberry Finn is people showing up with fake ass European accents and pretending to be abdicated royalty. Fucking amazing. Like in Huck Finn, there are these the Duke and the Dauphine who claim to be like exiles of the French Revolution and shit, and they go around and just scam people, and that was a real thing that happened.
You could just
all the
really
time.
hit the reset button and keep like the same friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like people didn't go anywhere. People didn't like here, like if you lived on the east side of town pre-1960,
yeah.
you did nothing.
Yeah.
That was not on the east side of town.
Right.
You could just move to the west side of town.
And have a whole different
and
family.
You might as well have went to fucking Spain, man.
Yeah.
Because if you visit the west side of town, you'll never find your way back home.
Yeah,
I'm lost now. This is where I live now.
And there'd be no records either.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to change your name. You could be Chris Davis, married to this woman, file paperwork, all of that shit, and then you could show up the next day with a whole nother woman and say, we need a marriage license, and they'd say, here you go, what's your name? You go, Chris Davis, and the same lady who waited on you yesterday would go, congratulations.
Yeah.
No checks and balances.
Nobody would say anything.
Nothing. No checking.
So Fritz Johnson becomes one of the best known and best liked and most flamboyant personalities of Omaha. And I just liked this little detail. Fritz hated the news. Even though he broadcast it, he hated it. And so he began hosting a segment called Good News of the Day, in which Fritz spoke only about the brighter things in life. So now he's John Krasinski during COVID.
Yeah, he's George Santos.
Yeah.
He's John Krasinski. He's Robin Hood. He's everybody.
So between his social life, marriage, and career, Fritz was very much alive. But back in Akron, Lawrence Joseph Bader had finally been declared legally dead. The insurance companies paid off, and the government provided the widow Bader with Social Security payments. Those were slightly reduced because her husband had fudged the numbers on his income tax. But again, and this is if you recall the story of Robin Hood, the way that Prince John is able to capture Robin Hood is to entice him with an archery contest.
Oh.
And so on February 2nd, 1965, John...
Operation Broken Arrow.
On February 2nd, 1965, John Fritz Johnson, archer extraordinaire, rolled into Chicago in his horny hearse. Yeah.
Pulled up like Gomez Adams.
A Nebraska archery firm had sent him to a sports show at Chicago's McCormick Place to show off his skills and their equipment. So, like, he's not wrong about doing a bunch of jobs. Like, he's the sportscaster. He's also selling archery equipment based on the fact that he was a preternaturally great archer after 5 days. So why wouldn't he be selling their equipment? So he's at this convention. Suzanne Pekka could not quite believe what she was seeing. She was standing in front of an archery booth at a sporting goods convention, and a man with brown hair and a thin mustache and an eye patch was holding court for retailers.
Yeah.
Aside from the eye patch and the facial hair, he looked exactly like her uncle, Lawrence Joseph Bader. Yeah. After staring at the man, who was almost certainly her uncle, she approached the booth. "Hey, aren't you my Uncle Larry?" she asked. The man just laughed and he seemed confused. No, I'm not anyone's Uncle Larry.
I'm not even anybody's Uncle John.
I'm LJB.
I don't have any
Back
siblings.
off.
Sorry.
He says, "The name's John Johnson, better known by the nickname Fritz. I live in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm a sports director of a local television station."
He's
And
giving out way too much information to be undercover. Yeah. You know?
that's like, dude, if you watch like First 48, it's like, stop giving details about your alibi.
Like you're busted.
Yeah.
Like, she's not saying you look familiar.
Yeah.
She is telling you exactly who you're pretending not to be.
Right.
Yes.
And this,
So you're caught dead to rights, whether you're
I am
actually
Elma J.
caught.
Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion
Just
and a
say,
yacht.
"No, I'm not," and don't tell her my name's JJ.
Right.
Just say, "No, I'm not," and
Yeah.
move the fuck on.
yeah.
He is
And it-
gilding a lily on this alibi here.
And as best I could tell, like, his cousin is like an adult, and he's only been quote unquote dead for like 7-8 years. So like, she would have been a teenager when he disappeared. Like, this is not someone you can fool.
The best way to approach this is like, "Oh no, your uncle didn't have an eye patch."
Right.
That's what he just should have
Was
said.
your
that.
Uncle Larry blind in one eye? Well, there you go.
He said the eye patch was from the excision of a malignant tumor which had taken his eye in 1964. He was polite but firm. It was nothing more than a misunderstanding, he said. Pica then rushed to the phone and called her entire family. Lawrence's two brothers jumped on a plane from Ohio to Chicago, where Johnson was again confronted. No, he said, he was not their brother.
Let me tell you something, big Larry. When somebody busts you out like that and you're hiding out, it's time to go.
Yeah, run.
Go straight back to fucking Omaha. You know what I mean?
It worked once. There's no reason to think,
This makes me wonder.
She's
'cause-
gonna drop this. You know, I'm sure she's gonna drop this and not tell my entire family, who's gonna be shocked to hear about this. No, I got one over on that one.
This makes me wonder. I worked at this flower shop years ago, and the lady who was an accountant there, bigger than life personality. I would never ever forget her. Years later, saw her in the grocery store. She didn't recognize me. It's like, no, Margie, right? At the flower shop. No, I don't know what you're talking about. The fuck you don't. Why are you lying to me? She was unmistakable. Her face and her personality and everything. It's like, why was she lying to me? Was she in deep?
It was like
something?
you running into me and being like, "Narado, what's up?" And I'm like, my name is James.
Yeah.
Also, if you're going to have a new identity, have the decency to move within a 3-block radius from where you live.
Right. So he says to his brothers, no, I'm not your brother at all. The brothers explained that Bader had been in the Navy and his fingerprints would be on file, so they contacted the police. This would settle the matter once and for all. The next day, they all received a call from the police, and the fingerprints matched exactly. The man known as John Johnson, better known as Fritz, was indeed Lawrence Joseph Bader.
He went full Superman on his fucking brothers and his fucking
Run away!
It's you.
Yeah.
I've known you since you were born. Did your brother have a beard? Do you not see the beard in the eye patch? I can't be
Your brother didn't have an eye
eye patch and a beard.
It wasn't even a beard.
not me.
It was just a thin mustache. It might have just been drawn on like John Waters. Like it was just a fucking little
You know how
mustache.
you can go completely incognito from the people who've known you the most time in your life?
Evil
by
Spock.
growing a mustache and blocking one of your eyes. If you put on an eye patch and put on a mustache when you didn't have one and walked up to your mom and dad, they would be like, "I'm sorry, sir, can we help you?" Everybody knows this.
Evil Spock had a better disguise than this man.
If we grew up together, answer me this. Was I a master archer when we were kids?
Yes, I was.
it? Okay.
No, he was.
was? Oh.
That's the fucking best part. Is like he was a master archer as this guy, and then he went to Omaha and claimed that he was magically amazing at archery, and like he hadn't been doing it as a child.
Never had a
hunting.
lesson.
Yeah. Now I am amazing, but I have never hunted in buckskin.
Just more reason for you to realize the jig is up.
Run.
They should have just pantsed him right there and
Yeah.
his buckskin underwear. They would have seen it.
You look just like my so-called missing dead brother with an eye patch and a mustache and doing archery. My brother didn't have an eye patch or a mustache, but he had your face and he did archery. This is just coincidence.
Yeah.
Also, you're him.
It's just a coincidence, my man. I'm sorry. Don't make me call the police on you for harassing me.
So even
Mom has been worried. You haven't called.
Don't commit to the bit unless you're a comedian. Run if you're a fugitive.
yeah.
Don't commit to it.
So after the police confirmed that it was him, he insisted he had no memory of being Bader, who he called that other fellow, and his reappearance led to a number of legal and ethical quandaries. As you might imagine, there were insurance policies paid out, again, $40,000. The Social Security payments were sent to Mary Lou as well, and calculated based on his demise would have to be addressed. Even Kotler, the boathouse owner, was looking for restitution for his dented up propeller. He said, quote, "He owes us a boat," which is the best quote for a guy who owns a boathouse.
You fucked up my Evinrude.
Yeah, like a newspaper reporter comes and tells you the craziest story you ever heard, and then you're just like, "What is your response, sir?" "Owes me a goddamn boat," is what I think.
I mean, at least the dinghy, big dog.
yeah. That was a 14-foot boat.
I'm not Virgil Ward. I ain't got Virgil Ward money.
You got a wakeboard or something. I need restitution.
Then there was the matter of the marriages. Because Bader was alive, he was still legally married to Mary Lou and could be considered a bigamist.
Shameful.
Full Frankie Lyman.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so at minimum, he had a financial responsibility to the wife and 4 children that he had left behind in Akron, and so Fritz hired a lawyer. Again, run! So much cheaper! And the lawyer recommended that he undergo a battery of psychological testing at an area hospital for amnesia. So after several days of intense evaluation, doctors could not say whether or not he was willfully deceiving anyone. It truly appears as though he had no recollection of ever being Lawrence Bader.
Oh my
was
God.
their conclusion.
There's doubling down, but then there's quintupling down. What is this man's problem?
Like, he's so smart and so dumb.
Right.
Like, you would think that a man that's doing this has like a copy of Jack Kerouac's On the Road
Yeah.
strapped to his body at all times for referencing living this lifestyle. And every single page starting with the prologue of that book will tell you, keep fucking moving.
Yeah.
If you stop and shit gets weird, time to get back on the it's in the title.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah, or heat. Yeah. When the heat's around the corner, be ready to go.
Just go. And nobody cares.
Maybe no one ever taught him the phrase "the jig is up" before. If he had known that.
They're on to you in Chicago, go to Charlotte.
So this is his quote from the Akron Beacon Journal. Quote, "I am John Fritz Johnson. I've never heard of this Bader man until this matter came up." And this is from the newspaper there aside. He seemed more bemused than upset by the situation, admitting that, yes, he did look identical to Bader, and they both shared a love of archery, but beyond that, he didn't care to explore his memories with anyone, citing doctors who told him that examining his past could be psychologically damaging.
It's called a doppelganger. Read a book, you leptons.
His quote is amazing. He says, "My God, don't you understand?" He told a reporter. "All of a sudden, I find out that 30 years of my life never happened. You see, I really do have 30 years of memory as John Fritz Johnson. What am I supposed to do with those 30 years? Just throw them out the door?"
Well, clearly it's alien abduction, everybody. I don't know why we're judging this man.
Why are you being quoted in a newspaper?
He had a mind wipe. They implanted new life into him, like history and everything, so it's clear.
He saw a comment like John Travolta in Phenomenon.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he was the world's greatest archer. That's how he became the Green Arrow. That's how he got his superpowers from an alien comic.
So for a time, the situation seemed precarious. If it could be proven that Bader committed fraud, he was looking at legal consequences, but no one could prove it. Instead, his lawyer argued that the surgery to remove a cancerous lesion from his eye may have affected his memory, even though that happened way after the boating accident. Perhaps he once knew why Bader disappeared and Fritz appeared, but there was little hope of finding answers now. So that was the lawyer's defense, which, shout out to lawyers. Never go changing.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, maybe this started out as bullshit, but now we can never untangle this web. It's just simply too complex.
I'm here to defend my client, not corroborate if they're telling the truth.
372 billable hours on this, and the best I can come up with is a push.
So, struck by the peculiar nature of their employees' double life, KETV terminated their sports director. Nancy left him. Their marriages essentially erased in light of the fact that he was already married. She seemed bewildered. Quote, "I just don't know what to think," she told a reporter. Quickly, Fritz Johnson found himself back to work at a bartender, earning $100 a week. Of that, $50 went to Mary Lou and $20 went to Nancy for child support. And he was left with $30 a week and moved into the YMCA in Omaha. Mary Lou spent several months in seclusion, shying away from curious reporters and from Fritz. And eventually, she decided to meet him once again in Chicago. I like to think he rolled up in the horny hearse. Like, just
he better had.
Now. At that meeting with the wife and the 4 children, which took place in August of 1965, the meeting was described as amicable, though Fritz insisted that he had no recollection of meeting, marrying, or ever having a family with her. Like, you're such a dick, dude. Jesus Christ. Because he insisted they were strangers, there was little choice but to consider him a stranger as well. Mary Lou voiced hope that maybe one day he would come around and remember everything.
Oh, sad lady.
Like, sad lady, dude.
Sad lady.
Just shoot him. You got to kill him, right? It's like at this point.
He just told you to your face that he doesn't exist, nor do you.
Right, yeah.
This is done.
See, y'all don't understand where she's coming from because y'all ain't never put that dick on a bitch. You ain't never touched that cervix to where after 30 years of lies, she's just like, I just want you to come home.
Oh, my
So
God.
we can pick up where we left off. I don't care about none of the rest of this shit.
The heart wants what the heart
I
wants.
just want my man. Baby.
Yeah. So it turned out there would be no time for Fritz to come around. In 1966, his supposed cancer reappeared, this time in his liver, and he died on September 16th of that year. His passing posed the question of how to pay respects to a man who appeared to have lived 2 distinctly different lives. In Omaha, a service was held at First Methodist Church for John Fritz Johnson, and the next day his body was transported to Akron so he could be buried in a family plot at Holy Cross Cemetery as Lawrence Joseph Bader, where he remains today. So shout out to Akron, shout out to the 50s and how easy it was to just be a fucking deadbeat and a criminal at the same time.
I love it. I love when stories like that end like that. Like things like the Knights Templar treasure and things, I would like to see those found. I'd like to learn the truth about stuff like that. But motherfuckers just pretending to have amnesia,
yes,
having all these adventures and then dying before anybody getting answers, and it's just that secret is gone with them. I love that.
I
love that type.
Tom Hanks has to be in this movie.
Let's just keep the cliffhanger for it. Leave him wanting more, baby. That man was a showman.
Yeah. So you said you were familiar with this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When I started reading about it, because I was in Akron, so I just started looking up, fun, weird history shit from Akron. And I saw this. I was like, got to talk about this. But then I started thinking, and I'm like, I'll try to confirm this at some point. I want to say this was on Unsolved Mysteries. It was one of those like where Robert Stack is just going, we may never know if he actually had amnesia. And I'm like, he did it. He very obviously did
never
it.
know.
His fake name was his old boss's name. Fritz is.
That's like that. That's how I got into that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I think on the episode I'm currently on now, I can't remember which one it is, but it's where you talked about the guys kidnapping themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk about how interesting that is, and when you do a deep dive on it, like you just find there's just a million of those stories, each one crazier than the last, and like I'm like that about I've got amnesia.
Yeah.
I love to just do deep dives.
Did you watch Unsolved Mysteries?
Oh, of course.
I feel like they had multiple ones of
They
those.
did.
And it was just some obviously like guy who just had it up to here with his life. And was just like, you know what? Of course, I've made a commitment to this woman, and we've made a deeper commitment in the form of children. But this sucks.
But the insurance, like, she got the insurance, though.
Yeah,
That's the
he
thing,
did
it's
set
like-
her up to, at least he,
like, was that on purpose, or was he just like, screw it, I'm just out, insurance
well,
or not?
he purposely upped his life insurance to $40,000. So he
Okay.
was trying to take care of her on some level, but you're just like, man, just
That's it.
So he was a deviant with the heart.
Listen, the dude's not. He's not a jerk.
yeah.
It's just
He's
that,
just psychotic.
Sometimes, listen, the world hasn't changed so much that human nature's different.
Right. Yeah,
And
that's true.
Throughout history, from day one to right now, you get put in positions by the social contract and the social construct to where that if it doesn't jive with you, you have to break some rules to do what's best for you and your sanity and well-being. And in a world where divorce is almost illegal
Yeah.
and things like that, you can't just go through the system to take care of yourself. You gotta make amends with that by go, okay, I'm gonna run out on this lady, and she's gonna be hurt by that, and the children are gonna be hurt, but I'm going to kill myself if I don't.
Yeah.
So
It's better.
I'm going to disappear and let them think I'm dead, but I'm going to give them more money than they've ever had in return. That evens everything out, man. That evens it. Shout out to the Fritz, man.
Yeah.
I have no qualms with what you did. You did what was best for you, and
For your mental health.
in this world, you can't throw yourself under the bus to protect somebody else.
So if you did this in the 1200s and your wife got mad and said, I left you an ox cart, come on.
Yeah.
In the 1200s, your wife didn't have a right to breathe. Let alone-
Right. Yeah.
She's going to be dead at 18
she had
anyway.
No opinion on what you did.
Lady, I left you a cow and a swayback horse. You should be jumping for joy.
That's when people were living the mantra of, don't be upset that it's ending.
That-
be glad that it ever happened.
At that time, you could move not just on the other side of town. You could move just out of the line of sight, and
At
you'd
that
be
time,
good.
you could just kick your wife out and say we're done, and the neighborhood would be like,
Witch.
mark it down.
She's a witch.
The neighborhood would go, did you hear that? Put it in the books. They're done.
It's a loose woman.
She better leave.
Like a decade ago on the Today Show, there was this lady, and she was, family is not for me. She left her husband and kid. She was like, it's not for me. I had to go. I had to go. They're great people. I had to go.
I'm not mad at it,
couldn't
bro.
do it.
If she's a woman. Women are historically oppressed in situations like that. Look how much flack a woman gets for saying, I don't want to have children.
I know.
People act like she has decided to go live with wolves or something.
Yeah. Not
Like-
wanting a child is the equivalent to saying you
Yeah.
just killed a child.
And so you go through the motions, and people put all this pressure on you, and you're essentially, your whole existence centers around getting married and having children. Kudos to that woman for falling victim to that pressure and then finding the strength to go, this is what he wanted, and he can have this shit.
Because I think that's what her situation was. It's like, this is what you do. You get married and have kids. This is what she wanted to do. It's
And
like,
that
this is what you
woman
do.
wanted a job.
And she was like, she had no animosity toward them. She was like, this just isn't for me.
Well, shout out to Akron, Ohio. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
shout out.
laughing at my dumb shit. I have secret, I confirm my longstanding suspicion that the Midwest is secretly great. And boy, I had such a good time. But you got
There's
a
so
real
much vast land to be awesome in secret.
hell yeah, and you got just a real legendary scumbag buried in your cemetery there. So shout out.